So in this fourth chapter of the fifth chapter of the book is about satisfaction, contentment, to realize your movement between being satisfied and unsatisfied in your psyche and in your life. And just to give a short overview of what we have been through in the former chapters, it's the book The Godly Laughter by Claes Jansens about humanistic psychology, and it's about being human at the core of it, taking everything else away. You are left with the idea of being, and being brings fear, because with that being is freedom in some kind. It can be a source for your dissatisfaction. And so being brings fear, and fear can bring a kind of pseudo-reality into your eye, the way you are. It can also make you give up who you are in order to let go of that fear and let go of that responsibility for your freedom. The book also mentions happiness and mentions being unreal or feeling the unreal happiness. So those three are like the basis gardens or insights that starts the idea of looking into yourself through this wonderful book, The Godly Laughter, taken by 1215 monk Meister Eckhart. He said, let's laugh with God, or to laugh with God, in his writings. And so it has been used again here very boldly, says the author, because that was not easy to do, because people can misunderstand the title and the book and go in many directions. But that's exactly what's necessary to be able to see a lot of things in one book and in one text and in those words that are used here. And now, after talking about the introduction there, he goes on a trip taking us into the realm of fear, unrealness, and happiness, how they unfold, with some quotes from Erich Fromm, Rollo May, Kostenbaum, and Jürgen Jalom, with the use of Søren Kierkegaard and sometimes other philosophers and thinkers, depending on where we are. And he also takes us into the realm of the I. What is that, and how do we move to give attention to who we are? And he talks about your own inner world and the outer world, and then the world in between, where you meet somebody from the outer world who, like you, has an inner world, and that meeting is very special in life. His focus is though on your inner world, and he does not get around the whole topic, but he gives you some highlights, insights, some words to work on with yourself. And that's why this is a good inspirationally book that can put you on a path of understanding some realities in and around yourself. And finally, here in this chapter, he talks about satisfaction or contentment, and that's what I am gonna look into very shortly by the way he looks at it. And the first he talks about is the existential reality of being in conflict with two directions in your life. You are, at one hand, a very unique person. You feel so, and others can maybe feel there is something special about you as you are as a person. You're not totally like everyone else, even though you at the same time, on the other hand, has this very big commonality with everyone else. You are very much like everyone else. Not easy to see that specialness at all times. Sometimes it's hidden or buried or not even fulfilled, to go back to the chapter before, where many people just want to be conformist and live life like everybody else, try not to differ themselves from the surroundings and the people and the way they do things. So whatever others do, you do. That's how you go through life, and that's how you stay unnoticed. At the same time, you get this pseudo I. It's not your real, authentic, inner drive that is talking. It is the one you have put around it in order to just be like everyone else. And sometimes you put your inner drive in the I, in who you are, away because you just want to give up yourself and your freedom to someone else's, someone who can lead you, talk on your behalf, show you the way, and give you all instructions. So it's the pseudo reality you can be in. That's what it means. But if you're gonna look authentically in yourself, you can see that you are unique and you can drive that uniqueness to come forward and be special. At the same time, you are not all that unique, not at every time anyway. And that's what is the conflict in existential reality for the author. It is because you are between these two things, and then your personality comes out of the rebels in between them. He's not talking about that, but that's my understanding, and that's like the comments are leading to that. You get several traits in you, and these traits he tried to enlist some of the basic ones. You can be one kind of person opposite to another kind of person. Like some people have some traits that are very, very much like how we see them and understand them. We can maybe see them as realistic, quiet, easy, stable, practical, not so interfering. And we can have others, on the other hand, who can feel very eccentric, unrealistic, dreaming, losing contact with reality, sometimes going their own way, very much on, change in perspective and in satisfaction. And if you see the negative side of this is that the first type can be uncomplicated and can be very much like everyone wants him or her to be, effective, easygoing, always going on compromise with things, never worrying, leaving everything else to the environment. Things are good at all time. On the other hand, you have that person that's on the move, who can become worried and lonely, frustrated, and get fears and become angry and feel helpless and feel as a failure, asking a lot of questions and wanting to realize something new. So that's the movement he's going to talk about in this book. There are also two other ways of looking at it, or two other potential characters he's looking from, and that's the one who is controlled, opposite the one who is independent, the one who is conventional on the surface, and the other one who is non-conventional and very much in his fantasy, his or her fantasy. There is the one who seems boring, stiff, just like like a painting on the wall, never showing any trait of something new or different, always afraid of changes. On the other side, you have the one who is seeking, open for changes, always on the move, colorful, ready to take challenges up, brave enough to do something out of the comfort zone. And so you have also these two opposites that can take us in two different directions. Now, on this level, this is not about the authentic and not authentic self. So these people who are easygoing and relaxed and conformist and stiff and boring are not necessarily unauthentic. That's not what he's saying. He's trying to say that some people just live in a certain way. And where does that bring them according to the satisfaction that they need to have? So if you are content and satisfied, you must be happy. But we know that life brings you out of that. And what is it that in reality brings you out of that satisfaction that you have been in? First of all, it's a lot of things. And he's not mentioning them all here, but it can bring you out of that balance and being free of comparison to others, or being free of needing to achieve something. That is contentment and satisfaction. You are in a state where you are how you are, the way you are, and everything is good. And that's also how reality around you seems to react to you. You are in that perfect balance. Sometimes it's going into your inner world and not reacting or acting according to what's around you. That can give you an inner satisfaction that also makes you satisfied on the outside. So you don't need to always act and react according to what's needed around you, but have that inner satisfaction that keeps driving you no matter how much things change on the outside. That's also a way of getting this. But at the same time, that creativity, that satisfaction can go over in a kind of creativity or a fall back from it. And that can happen because of a lot of things. And that's existence, that's life, it's tragedy, it's suffering. That's what Schopenhauer has been focusing on in his philosophy and have been much understood in my eyes. He's not mentioned yet, but and he's not mentioned here in deep, but he will be quoted later. So to lose something, that's an existential loss, can affect your contentment and brings you into a life crisis or a development crisis. And you can give a lot of examples on that. Losing someone dear, losing a mom or a dad in an early age, getting into troublesome situations in life or wars, losing a wife, a kid, someone you hold dear, something you owe that brought you part of that contentment you have been in. That can bring you out of balance, especially those deeper losses that comes sudden and comes difficult to bear. And it's in that situation that we go in four directions according to the author here, and he has developed his own theory around it. And he said these directions are not necessarily opposites, but they start like looking like opposites. And what are they? First of all, you have the satisfaction. Here you can see that you have the part of the satisfaction. And when that shakes, you can get into a stage of censorship, pseudo acceptance. And then I will explain that a little later. Then you can, if you try to get out of that, get into confusion and conflict and have no ability to adapt to the new thing. But then if you can manage to get the new inspiration and renewal and get those aha experiences I talked about in the first video, those feeling of new balance, arising, new contentment, new happiness, new ecstatic feeling of something that can give you that meaning, then you will go back to the contentment and satisfaction despite the loss. So he see it as a kind of a wheel that works together, not opposite each other. The problem many times is that people get stuck in one of them when there is a crisis, and they never seem to be able to get out or to realize themselves in a new way. And this is maybe basically what it's about in this chapter, to understand each part of this circle and to realize when you are in it or where you are in it. So what's the first one? What's the second, third, and fourth? Yeah, as the satisfaction is everything feels good. You have no wish for change. Something happens. Reality sets in. Tragedy, destiny, a troublesome thing. Something that shakes you out of your satisfaction. It can be inside you. It doesn't need to be these outside actions that's going on. It can be something inside you. A new idea or thought, a doubt, a feeling of being unreal, many things. But mostly it hits most people because of things that comes from the outside. And so they go to a stage where they feel censorship and they stop themselves from developing. They close themselves in that thing they thought they still were in. They do not want to look into it. They do not want to change from it. And so everything becomes keep on the mask of who you were under the contentment. But that won't hold. And if it doesn't hold and it doesn't bring you down in a pseudo-real way that keeps you stuck there. This is my explanation, sorry to say. He has a bit different, shorter explanation, but I'm just trying to make it understandable. Then you go into a stage of conflict and disappointment and understanding of yourself. You are confused. And here you start looking. You cannot adapt to that mask and just going on. You start looking and changing, and you want to know. And you feel a lot of things chaotic and not really sure around you. And so you get to the last stage, because that confusion is the turning point, as he says here. It's the place where you really have the opportunity to get on, because that will lead you to that new passage of inspiration, renewal, greater depth, maybe acceptance in a new way that doesn't shake you out of your deeper balance. So this is basically what this chapter is about. And another thing he takes out in this chapter is going back to those two poles, like your freedom and your responsibility. He talks about these two things, being the unique one and the one who is like everyone else. And that's why he says he liked the idea of Viktor Frankl, that very good psychiatrist and psychologist and writer who wrote about very good issues on these topics. He said there should be a goddess for responsibility on the West Coast, like there is a goddess for freedom in New York on the East Coast, to balance up the ideals and the psyche. And he also takes Jung into this and talks about that Jung said life is the both and this is the magical side of it. You are not just only the unique one, and you are not only the one who is like everybody else. It is if you can activate the both and in the right measures and the right way and go about it in life, so it works. It's what can bring you that happiness and satisfaction and make you creative. So that change that will come upon you, leading you to that satisfaction or away from it, is a both and. You're gonna have to shift between them. So at one point you are who you are, and at the second point you are the one who wants to be who you are and who wants to be. He uses the quote of Sartre: you are the facticity, you are the thing that is. Your identity has just been as it is, and you want it to stay like that, the mask, the way you are, and you are at the same time the project. But I like saying it in a different way. You are who you are, and then you are who you want to be, your intention, the things that drives you in a new way. So these are like getting around the idea of contentment in life and what can shake you out of it, and what kind of personality traits you can have that maybe seems just more fit to you as the person you are. And then he ends this chapter with an additional chapter that's a little bit strange. It's about the homo normalis, because many times I understand maybe more and more now by speaking why he has put this chapter here, because maybe when we are going to be content, that contentment and satisfied, it's like we say, well, to do that we have to be like almost everybody else, because at the moment you go and try be different and unique, or take yourself out of the group's way of being, you lose that homo normalis. You become unnormal, you become something crazy, out of shape, out of order, not really fitting into the ideas and the ways of life that surround you. And that can also take you on a dangerous path. And he gives very, very short story here in this very short chapter. It's not even a chapter, it's just like, it's like added up on this one. He uses Otto Reich's talk, Listen Little Man, because it was after the time with the Nazis and the time with the Führer and the Übermensch, the upper human, the human who does not need God. And he has a very, very, to use the author's word, aggressive and angry dispute with that homo normalis. And he quotes a bit of it. I will also quote some of it. You are afraid of looking into yourself, little man. It's like some kind of satire, some kind of provocation. Little man is the one who feels that homo normalis. You don't feel special. You cannot find the way in to be who you really want to be and develop it in a good way, so you become sick. And when you get power, that will give you that megalomania thing of feeling bigger and much more important than everybody else. But you are not. You are still that little man. And he talks a lot about it. It's a long quote, but I have chosen a little passage. You have made the small men to your suppressor, and you have made the real big men to martyrs. And later on, you little man, you are the prototype of homo normalis. It's you, little man, you are the pariah of the big human. And later on he say, I will tell you, you have lost the sense of what's best for you. You have murdered it, and you have suffocated it. All that you discover others have. I think he's speaking about that uniqueness and that special creativity and self-realization and self-actualization and the peak experience. We had these in the former chapter. I know that you call God, I know that what you call your God actually exists, but on the other side, in a different way than you think, as the original cosmic energy and source of the universe, the love in your body, the honesty you're feeling for nature in you and around you. You are not just here, little man. You are just not in reality like that. You have your big moments, but you do not have the strength and the capacity to let your sense for life lift you up and up and up. I know Nietzsche tried to do you and make you to an Übermensch, an overhuman, but it became your Führer, the underhuman. He means Hitler, and he talks about him and gives him the name. So he's comparing this man who seemingly became big and became huge as a sickness, as going out of the measures of who you are. What you really want is to realize yourself within the borders of life and everybody else. But when that doesn't happen and you find the way to power, or you find the way to grow in a very wrong way, you will grow into sickness of feeling much bigger and much more huge than everybody else. So you have lost the contact with yourself and with that satisfaction that it should give you. So it's a kind of a little addition to that story of satisfaction, talking about the common man, the homo normalis, the ordinary person who actually is inferior many times and just one part of the gray mass, part of the communality, not really seeing who he is or can be. The potentials are lost. And then he breaks free from that, or can get out of it, and does not hold it in a good measure. He breaks out in a way to put himself above everyone else and use and misuse the power. That's the greatest loss. You want to become the God that you have killed or you don't want to adhere to. This is another way of saying it. But you can't. You can't uplift life and the universe. You have your special moments, but that's it. And then comes the others who has the same will and power, and they will put you down, and so it happened, and so it will happen again and again and again. And look back at history, that's exactly what has happened all the time. We get out of balance, of satisfaction, and we bring forward the little man, and now today is more dangerous than ever, in my opinion, because, not today, but the times we're in, because that little man is so widespread that the sickness in there is so big, and the lust to lash out and be something else, and to give him or herself up to being the extraordinary special is very important. Everybody wants to be that star, everybody can feel in his or her heart that he is praising what he wanted to be but never got to be and never had the courage to go on. And so we give these gods who cannot uphold anything else but a moment in life and a moment of satisfaction by a dance or a song or a theater piece or whatever. We reflect our homo normalis, our non-well-being in them. And so by doing that, we give them that power to become gods over us. And so they become these, or some of them can have the potential to become these very sick people who can lead us and do what they like. And when that happens again, it's going to happen. We are all lost in that, because we have lost the sense of that satisfaction and content and the drive to feel a part of the whole, and at the same time the part of us that wants to be unique.